What's going on, gamers? So now we have another update on the tariffs involving what's going to be going on with Chinese goods coming over here. Because we saw that there was a 10% agreement for American goods going to China. What did they agree with over here? We got our answers this morning. So once we talk about this article right here, Windows Central, is important because it's talking about also what is Microsoft going to do that it's not 145% anymore. And both ends went down big time. One side to 10%, and then now Chinese goods coming over here is only 30%. It says right here, long-term plans between the United States and China could follow the recently announced 90-day pause of reciprocal tariffs. And getting the answer we just got, it says the United States and China have agreed to pause several tariffs for 90 days. The agreement sees reciprocal tariffs between China and the United States reduced greatly, which this is good for the consumer, so they don't get screwed over. They already have so much money, it's not even funny. The agreement reduces U.S. tariffs on Chinese goods from 145% to 30%. They can eat that. That's nothing. And then what we were talking about last night, and China tariffs on America goods from 125% down to 10%, making a significant de-escalation in the trade dispute. A 20% duty charge on imports from China related to fentanyl stays in place, meaning that the total tariff for those goods sits at 30% during the pause. CNBC's first reported on a 90-day stoppage. So they're going to put this in effect for the next 3 months. Now, going down here, how will tariffs affect technology prices? The nature of the ongoing U.S. trade war breeds uncertainty. Tech companies have been forced to make dramatic changes following several tariff proposals, announcements, and pauses. Generally speaking, tech companies cannot start and stop sales or increase and decrease prices at the drop of a hat. Companies can adjust prices and availability based on tariffs or other factors, but there needs to be a balance between short-term and long-term sales. That makes sense too, and we have to get the long-term analysis of this in certain ways. Basically, what they're saying is that when it comes to short-term sales, that's going to be for the 90-minute window. But what is the long-term tariff solution here? What is going to be the long-term price? So if you know that for right now, then yeah, you can't jack up the price. This year, we've seen Razer pause the import of new devices and prices of the Legion Go and MSI Claw increase. Xbox Series X and S prices went up as well, but they need to go back down. A recent study explained that console prices could go up by 69% and that the cost of electronics devices could skyrocket. The study was made under the assumption of a 145% tariff affecting certain Chinese goods would go into effect. Exactly. So what I'm going to say about this is that the 145% is no longer real. It doesn't exist. It was just a little boogie tactic, and it worked. And now we have a 30% tariff going on China uh, aspects coming over into USA. And then we see USA going to China, it's 10%. So that 30% raise is not going to do much, and they should leave it alone. And Microsoft should say, we apologize, we made a mistake. We thought it was going to be 145%. We jumped the gun too early. So we're going to remove the prices down. You have to do that because otherwise you are jacking up a price that doesn't exist for a tariff. And that makes you look worse than everyone. Definitely, being an American company, you're supposed to be more pro-consumer towards the American industry. Definitely when it comes to Xbox. Your prices were the same for 5 years. You need to reverse this and put it back to where it used to be. You shouldn't even do a temporary sale because nobody's buying your products. An increase in demand is only makes sense. You see what I mean? When you're selling out and your product is so good. But you are in the extreme opposite. You're in the ditch, right down in the graveyard. So if you want to get out of that and lift up things, you have to reduce the price. You see what I mean? Not nuke your console. And then have all these diluted Xbots, because that's what they are. They're bots at this point. They're programs. It's called you got turned into corporate's uh, meat sucking soup that are defending Microsoft and then trying to use Nintendo to defend them too, and all these other things. It's like, what are you doing, man? Why are you defending corporate greed? Why are you being an idiot, man? No, bro. They did this because they wanted to. So now we have our answers on here. So what are they going to do about this? Because I'm going to tell you guys something else. It's just Sony outsmarted them again. It made them look like fools. You made a console that nobody wants to buy, that's weaker than another console, be more expensive than the PS5 Pro. Sony didn't do that because they didn't see the tariff price being in crazy effect, and they were wise. They did nothing. That's all they had to do. Nintendo didn't do anything, and they have a new hardware because they're in Vietnam and Cambodia, so they're only getting hit with a 10%. They're going to eat that cost. They said the only reason we're changing it if it's significant. And you had people like grifting saying that they're said that they're increasing the price, like Dreamcast guy and a couple other people. And it's like, where? It doesn't say that anywhere. Vietnam's not getting changed. It's highly unlikely. The only thing that could possibly have a problem right now, y'all, is China in the future. And that's about it. I don't see them messing around with Vietnam, or everything is fine over there. So we know that's fine, right? So we have our answers on that. There's nothing else to really talk about in that spectrum. But what we do have to say is that for you being dead last place and third place, in the United States of America, which is your strongest territory where you get the most sales, why cannibalize that for a little bit of profit when you're a $1 trillion corporation and your competitor who's beating you, both the competitors are ahead of you, are not doing it? You're not making any sense. So therefore, Microsoft, you need to remedy yourself and stop making yourself look stupid when you wanted to build up a pro-consumer image these past 7 to 8 months, talking about Game Pass, all these great games coming, right? And there was going to be a Steam hybrid and just all these pro-consumer aspects that are going, then you just tear it all down with this. You have a chance to fix it now by reducing the price so that you can get back on the route that you were on before. If not, then you literally just are giving your gaming community no hope whatsoever in that sort of sense. And the only people that can defend you are people that want to defend Game Pass. But how are you going to do that? It's cheaper and better on PC. That's where I'm doing it at. So therefore, I'm just speaking in an Xbox sense. Like, what are we doing here? It's pretty obvious. Satya Nadella is saying, get rid of the console. Hmm. This is his idea, not Phil Spencer, like crap gamers complaining about. And it's like, no, dude, he doesn't want the console. To him, it's about making as much money as possible. And that means putting his games all over the place and consistently only doing that and not wasting time on a console that's not going to make them that money. That's just the way that he thinks. So we see this into effect. But still, at the situation that you're in, you need to lower the prices. 30% is not going up 120 something dollars on the 2 terabyte Galaxy and $100 on other stuff, putting the S where it's at. What are you doing? You know what I mean? Like, you have to put the prices back down because the highest it's going is 30% for the next 3 months. You can't do this. Like, you are disappointing so many people. Ponies, sit down. Xbox, you sit down too. Because I have to say this. So we have our answer here. Everything is explained here. Um, People are not going to be any more delusional, right, and say that this has something to do with Nintendo when it has absolutely nothing to do with them. Now, as far as the video game prices, that's another subject because $80 on digital has nothing to do with tariffs. That's independent. That's a whole nother problem. And they need to not do that, but they're still going to do that, by the way. That's something they're not going to change. Now, this is something they need to change. That's just kind of what I think about it. So like, comment, subscribe, let me know what you guys think. This is not something to talk about for too long because we got our answers here, but we get the idea here. The only companies that could possibly be affected by this right now are people who were scared of the 145% hit on China, but it's down to 30% as far as Chinese goods coming over here, and they should not raise the price up because they've made billions and hundreds of billions of dollars off of the US market and its base. So everything is fine. You're not getting hit either. You only got a 10% from over here. So everything is fine. There seems to be a bit of a dispute for the next 3 months. That's a whole entire season. So yeah, let me know what you guys think. Have a great day. Honestly, I'm happy about this because this is a win for gamers. Nobody should be jacking the price up over gamers right now. We won here because, like I said, if it would have got too expensive, the consumer gets screwed over, but we did it. All right, y'all. Later.